What is going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as XRP to US dollar, more so in regards to where we're going to see Litecoin and Bitcoin move in the next couple of days. Some pretty urgent news I do want to bring to you guys because I think we're getting really close to a point of potentially major breakout and potentially a retracement. So I want to discuss that with you guys, as well as the current coin market cap and an article or video posted by Bloomberg Technology on how authorities use Bitcoin to bust a giant child porn site. Now, I know that sounds kind of vulgar, and I don't want to get into too much of this, but towards the end of the video, I will be discussing how I view how Bitcoin trail can lead to the giant dark web arrest, and I think it's definitely a big influence within cryptocurrency too. So I want to talk about this, but otherwise, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and let's jump into today's video. So guys, I want to start off with Bitcoin, and I was definitely looking at things from numerous perspectives before I wanted to make today's episode, and I noticed a couple of things that I want to continue on from where I left off yesterday. Now obviously, you know, we're in a major symmetrical triangle within Bitcoin right here. I'll make the MACD a little bit smaller, but you can obviously see that we're starting to see that blue band cross over the orange band, indicating potential retracement down to lower levels, potentially retesting support at $7,600. But before I jump into that, I've noticed a couple of things that a lot of people are drawing and sending me via email is they're finding these fractals that they're drawing here. You can see one is right here, and I'll draw them in red and then we'll delete them. But you can see this is what they're considering a fractal, which I agree, and then they're considering this one to be a bigger fractal right here. So these are smaller fractals on the 4-hour charts, which do hold some reassurance. I do believe that these do hold some reassurance, and you'll notice very similar, they seem to be happening over and over again within Bitcoin, and every time they do happen, we tend to break up. So I wanted to look at this. So it's an interesting pattern that you can see. We've had 3 of these in the past couple of weeks, and you'll notice since the breakout, we've pretty much consolidated downwards, broke bullish, downwards, broke bullish. I mean, there's even a small one here, but I don't think I really need to count that. Broke bullish. Now we're seeing another downtrend. Notice the patterns in between each one of these. You can see for the most part, this is a smaller one. We broke up, then we consolidated downwards, broke up. Had a small one here, but eventually broke up, consolidated downwards, and broke. And now we're looking to break up, inevitably. Every time we seem to be retesting the bottom of the oversold line, we tend to break bullish, which is what I really wanted to point out. Now I'm looking at the MACD indicators, and it's odd. We're kind of intertwined right now. That bullish blue band of the MACD is crossing over the signal indicator of the orange band, and it seems like I haven't necessarily seen which one is crossing first. Now, if that blue band looks to confirm a break above the orange, that's a good opportunity that we're going to be breaking upwards. Where exactly and how high we could be going is given by a couple of things. So I want you guys to notice that we do seem to be repeating history by making these fractals and these downtrends before we break bullish, which is something of key importance. Now notice that we are below the high-low middle moving average, which is not necessarily a good thing, but this does give us support to potentially break up. So in the fact that we do decide to break bullish, which we might be able to if we can break through this resistance at around $8,000. Considering we are currently below that, if we can break above 8,000, close the candle, we should be able to break up to potentially a high of 8,500, if not to a previous high of around $9,000, basically anywhere on this orange downtrend that we have covering the entire market right here. You can see as I zoom outwards into the daily, you'll notice those fractals are still there, a little bit harder to notice, but you'll see the massive descending triangle, this downwards pressure, this resistance right here, covers the entire chart and price. And you'll notice if things do break bullish, we should be able to swing up to around, like I said, $9,000. Now understand this would be a short-term rally, so if we see any sort of confirmation, I'd say above maybe $8,200, we're most likely going to continue to head back up, retesting the high-low middle moving average on the green and red band, and then we'll probably considerably pull down here. So it's going to be interesting, but I wanted to now point out what I'm predicting on Litecoin, which is quite interesting. So what I wanted to talk about was is potentially the end of this, bigger fractal on the coin. Now, it depends on how you want to look at this. Big fractal, bull flag. I believe it's considered a bull flag. Let's see. Bull flag, crypto. Is that it? Or maybe it's a pennant flag? Pennant flag, crypto. I believe it's a pennant flag. You'll notice cryptocurrency images. Wow, this better pull up some pennant flags. Yeah, so it's a pennant flag right here. Bull flags seem to be straight trading, and then pennant flags seem to have a point or a symmetrical triangle. So we're noticing some sort of pennant flag, I would consider, on Litecoin right now, where we broke bullish and now we're trending downwards. But more so in regards to a big sort of fractal that we're seeing right now. Now, this is seemingly coming to an end. That's what I'm noticing, is that this big fractal is coming to an end fairly soon, or at least we're hitting a very critical point. So the couple of things I want you to notice is the fact that we do once again see a couple of negative things. We're trading out sideways. We have a couple more days left, ultimately to around October 29th, which it is the 18th. So about 11 days before we see resistance and being retested of this massive downtrend right here. So that's not too long, 11 days consolidating outwards. The problem is being that this blue band is coming very close to the orange on the MACD, which is an indicator of a bear market. So what that's telling me right now is there's a chance we could trend here and plop downwards, similar to what we've done in the past, is what we could see right here. Inevitably, we've been seeing that these fractals tend to break bullish at the end of them. So even if we do hit, $50 hard and retrace down to $40 or $45, we could eventually see right after that a big burst of volume into the coin and see this immediately swing up to retest its high-low MMA. We seem to be kind of trending quite below it, and the high-low MMA is having a tough time catching up, which is showing me that we're really undervalued, which gives me the ultimatum that we're probably going to see this upswing fairly soon. So for those of you who have Litecoin, I wouldn't be too worried yet. It seems like there's a lot of good signs in terms of 2020 where we see a potential bullish break to the upside, but as of right now, I'm pretty bearish on the fact that Litecoin may consider pulling back down lower. And Bitcoin may do the same thing on its daily too, being so neck and neck within its MACD. The 4-hour though looks great. 4-hour on Bitcoin looks great. The 4-hour looks like it wants to break bullish, and we could, a very small amount, we could easily shoot from the $7,900 to $8,400, maybe a $500 gain on that. But for the most part, it seems like daily, a little bit more long term, we seem like we want to head lower, and that is what I'm really trying to push on you guys, that we may not be out of the triangle yet. We may need to see more consolidation before we see any big confirmation there. Same thing you can see very similar with Ethereum, that I pretty much is foreshadowing Litecoin and Bitcoin, is once it retests its high-low MMA, it seems to retrace. So similarly, I expect this once it hits the high-low MMA to retrace. Same thing with Litecoin. If it does pull back up, it's going to retrace just as quickly, and that is not a good sign. Pretty much that means you have to set your stop loss orders. Very nice XRP doing very, very, very nice things. Extremely undervalued once again. And you can see it just immediately pulled all the way back up to retesting its high-low MMA. You can see it was as low as 20 cents and pulled all the way up to 30 cents per coin, which is pretty wild, 10 cents per coin. That's quite a bit of profit now that I'm thinking about it. And the fact of the matter is it pulled all the way up to here. That's what we're looking for within Bitcoin on its daily. It's what we're looking for with Litecoin on its daily. So it seems like Ethereum and XRP are foreshadowing what Bitcoin and Litecoin would like to do. Lastly, looking at the coin market cap, and then we'll check out this article. Coin market cap looks okay, guys. It really does. Everything seems to be down, but only about 2% at most. We did have a little hiccup. We're seeing this hiccup and then reversal. And that seems to be that every coin is in sync at some point. They're all seemingly doing the same exact thing, which is interesting to see all these cryptos finally acting in sync with each other. But just consolidation along the ends. We're really not seeing much movement. These prices have been here for a very long time, with maybe, you can see on Litecoin, ever since we decided to break bearish from here and pull downwards, we've been trending since September 24th. It's almost been a month now of just sideways trading, which, you know, is a good indicator because we've seen in previous levels, that sideways trading right here can potentially indicate a bullish rally. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover with the chartings, guys. Hopefully that, you know, helped you guys out, braced you for what we could be seeing in the future. Lastly, I do want to just check out this article right here. Basically, they're talking about Bitcoin trail leads to giant dark web arrest. They're saying that, you know, not to get into specifics right now, but more so how the authorities used Bitcoin to bust the giant scandal happening on the dark web. Is basically they were able to track down or retrace the wallets that have the crypto sent. So basically, they figured out how they could mark a person's name with the address itself, and then whatever payments are being sent there, they can then follow those wallets as well, and then try to figure out who's under each wallet. So you know, it is still semi-anonymous, and it is kind of hard to figure out who is who, but there are still ways to get around that. There are other cryptos that are a little bit easier, and they make it more challenging to hide your identity. You know, Monero is definitely one of those better options, but in terms of Bitcoin, because the the government is cracking down on trying to figure out who is behind these anonymous payments, they're finding a pretty good job because people tend to use the same address over and over and over and over again, and they don't want to keep changing them. And by keeping the same address, you know, you make yourself semi-vulnerable as to what payments happen. If you use that address and you buy something or send money to something and then they ship you something, then they can attach an address to that Bitcoin wallet address, and they can keep following you around. So you have to be fairly, you have to be fairly smart when you come to these things. Always change your address if you're using them. I know Coinbase changes them, but you know, you don't want to just have one. You want to have a couple. You can see he kind of discusses that here.
And of course, what happened here was the police, the IRS in particular, working with the criminal division of the Justice Department and the DC U.S. Attorney's Office, were able to de-anonymize these transactions, identify the people involved, and identify the guy, the 23-year-old South Korean man who's hosting over 1 million downloads, 250,000 individual files, almost half of which had never been seen before. So the scale of this exploitation of young children is exploding, and Bitcoin is enabling this. And now we're using Bitcoin to actually identify these people, track them down, and put them in jail for their activities. Over 300 arrests in this case alone, Taylor.
So basically what I wanted to say was people are aware. So if you're trying to use this to avoid making payments and things like that, and avoid, you know, getting audited or things of that nature, consider using a different altcoin or cryptocurrency. It seems like it's only Bitcoin that they have the power to track down. Litecoin may be a better option, Ethereum, Monero, other coins that can be accepted right here. So that's pretty much what I'm referring to, you guys, is that it seems like the government is able to identify and track down people who use Bitcoin. So it doesn't seem to be the safest alternative in regards to hiding your identity anymore. Now, in regards to another thing that people consider Bitcoin to be negative when they see on the news, something like this, you know, Bitcoin trail leads to giant dark web arrest. They are going to assume Bitcoin is a negative, scary thing that you don't want to get involved with, and it's related to drugs. And that's not always the case. You can also look at it as a tool to help you in a way. She brought up, one of the ladies on the show here, that they could also use Bitcoin to help track down these people. But, you know, it's the same thing with money laundering or fiat currency. So to just nitpick at Bitcoin and say Bitcoin is bad because, you know, it gets involved with, money laundering and guns and drugs and things of that nature. Well, so is every fiat currency. The US dollar is used to buy drugs and smuggle money and money laundering all the time. So it's very hard to just, you know, throw Bitcoin under the bus for doing that when pretty much every currency is, and you can't really stop it. Otherwise, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.